Hey, we've got Torey Lovullo, the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, joining us on FT. We've been working on this for a minute. How you doing, Torey? We wanted to wait until you got Corbin Burnes and you were all loaded up for the season. What's
Right.
up?
I know. I apologize. Last year I totally game faced you guys and said no. It didn't work. And it might be the first time I've ever said I will do it later. So I appreciate you guys hanging with me.
Hey, we're on every
Listen, I
day,
know
so
why.
it works.
Hey, I know why you did it, Tori. It's okay. I get it. I understand. It's
What
cool. I
is it?
get it. It's my fault. It's my fault. I understand. That's cool. I get it. I get it. It's cool. We won't dig into why, but it's cool. It's cool.
Well, I
I
mean,
got. I was going to agree with you on the shoe situation. I don't remember you changing shoes that often, and the fact that you got like 25 boxes delivered to you, I'm thinking, did you ask for those, or did they just send them to you? Because I felt like you wore one set of gear for the entire year. That's how I remember you. So where
Yeah.
does all that
I
stuff
would
go
switch
now?
it. I would switch it at the All Star break. I would wear it unless something it broke or got cracked. I'd wear one set the first half, one set the second half. That was it. Shoes maybe once a month, maybe depending on if it's going bad. I just changed everything.
Yeah,
Plus, sometimes my shoes started stinking when it was hot, so I had to change them a little bit more often.
and I
But I
remember
had
you.
home and road. I had home and road, so it made it a little different too.
Yeah, you wore the plastics. You didn't wear spikes, if I can remember correctly, right?
That's right. I always wear plastics. My feet are sensitive. Sensitivo, Tori.
Uh,
Sensitivo.
Catchers, you
sure.
guys are little divas, right? I mean, Eric said it a little bit. He said that you're a little bougie. I know, Eric, you were a catcher too. I'm kind of throwing you in this mix here, but you were a little bit of a grinder, man. You absolutely did it right. AJ was a total white collar catcher. You know what I mean? Total white collar.
Yes, total white collar, total clubhouse. Like didn't want to show up to spring
Uh,
training. We've already hit all this stuff, but did AJ got all those shoes in Boston camp in spring training when you were
Yeah.
there? You weren't Hefe. You were kind of low man on the coaching totem pole. Did he help you out? Did he give you anything, or are you exactly? And so that's why AJ got fired. AJ's time in Boston was not good. I get it. We might not hit on it, but it's because
that's
AJ
fine.
just didn't share the goodness. He didn't share the goodness.
Wait, I don't remember what happened. Did you get traded or did you get fired?
Oh, I got fired. I got poop canned. That's fine. It was.
He got
You know what?
really
I'll be
fired.
honest with you. I'll be happy with you, Tori. And I was just giving you crap at the beginning because I actually do like you a lot, and we've talked. Um, but I'll say this: no, I got S canned. I can't say the word on national TV. But
Yeah.
actually, when it happened, uh, manager John called me and was like, "Hey, we need you to come in at like 9 in the morning." And I was like, "Am I getting DFA to release?" He's like, "We can't talk about it on the phone. Just be here in half an hour." And I was like, "Okay." And my wife looked at me and goes, "That was a weird call." I go, "Yeah, I'm getting released. So start packing." And she's like, "Why aren't you upset?" And I'm like, "Because we suck, and now I got a chance to go to a good team." And I ended up in St. Louis. So I was like, most people would be like, "Oh, I got fired. I got released." I was like, you know what? I actually looked at Ben Charrington. I still see him when I go to Pirates stuff. And I'm like, thank you, Ben. I really do appreciate that. I really do appreciate you guys moving me on. And I got to go to a better place. And actually, it got me 2 more years in the big leagues because if I wouldn't have gone to St. Louis, I wouldn't have played 2 more years. So actually, thank you guys. I say that all the time. I love my time in Boston. I love the organization. And I love
Yeah.
the guys I got to play with. And I got to experience the bad side of Boston, which not a lot of people get to say.
Like I had a lot to do with that decision too, AJ, right? You're throwing
No,
me
I
in
know
there.
you did it. That's why. No, I know. That's why. But it's fun. Listen, it wouldn't be fun if I couldn't give you crap about it.
Oh, I
I
love
mean,
it.
I expect people to give me crap back. So listen,
Oh, I
listen,
love
it's
it.
all good.
I
I
remember
don't care. I do
the
not care.
big knock you had in the right center field gap. I feel like we three managers got thrown out that day, and it was a game winner walk off. Can you remember that day?
Triple. It was a walk
That
off triple.
walk
Walk
off
off
triple?
triple. Tori.
That was
All
so
right,
sick.
hold on. Before we dig into the Diamondbacks, I know we got to get to it because you got stuff to do. But I do have to
Yeah,
tell this story. So David Ortiz we're facing David Price in Tampa, right? Ortiz would not play against David Price because we're just waiting for him to hit him. And so you're like, you guys come to me, you're like, you're DHing. And I'm like, wait, David Price is pitching. They're like, yeah, you got it. And I'm like, okay, guys, thank you. Right. So then Griffey's there. Griffey bets me dinner anywhere in the world if I hit a homer. First pitch, I hit a 3-run homer. I'm running around third base. I'm like, you owe me dinner, Griffey. Yeah. And David's like, I couldn't have done that. I'm like, exactly. So You got one decision right, guys.
There you go. I love that. I don't remember that. Are you making that up? I'm going to go to the books on that
No,
one.
true story. Ask David. True story.
Love it. All right.
I believe it. I love that you guys threw him in there against the lefty, too. That shows you exactly where he was getting DFA'd super soon. Let's get to the Diamondbacks, though. Let's get to the Diamondbacks. You know you're getting fired when you're getting the DH spot against the ace of the American League East. But anyway, let's get to your team. Not only did this team come very close to winning a World Series, last year they raised. You guys won more games than you did the year before when you made the World Series run. Was there a point in the end of the season where you guys felt that confidence? We're winning these games. No way we're not going to make the playoffs. No way this is going to happen. And yet you looked up at the end of the year and you were all watching games and it didn't work out for you.
Yeah, that's the really frustrating part of how the year ended up. I was so proud of what we did and what we accomplished during the course of last season. We won 89 games and we tied for the last position to enter and we lost in a tiebreaker. So we live in that space. We talk about that space and every little detail, every little inch matters here. So it's just really going to amplify my message this spring training that we can't lose any moments and we got to go out there and close deals and win every game we're supposed to. But I was so proud of what we did in the final stretch. We hit a little dry patch in early August, and that's something that we've done over the past few years, where that early August we hit a little speed bump, and we got to figure out how to avoid those. But we were well in control of our own destiny. We had everything going in the right direction. And you guys know what it's like when you wake up and you go to the ballpark and you just know when you look at the guys that they got it under control. You look at the group that's going to go out there and compete, and they make the staff and the coaches and the manager feel better because they're going to go out there and win baseball games. We won a lot of baseball games. We just came up half a game short, and that's where we're going to make up a big difference this year and try and undo that and make something good happen.
One of the ways that you can undo that is by getting an ace added to your already really good starting rotation. How quickly did the whole Burnes thing start to culminate and all of a sudden look at it and you're like, what was your reaction when you're like, this actually might happen?
Yeah, I got a phone call. Actually, I got a text. I was on an airplane coming back from Buffalo, New York, where my wife is born and raised. So we spent a lot of time there in the off season. And I was on an airplane and getting a text message from our owner, like, why aren't you picking up your phone? Where are you? What's going on? And I'm like, oh my God. I talk to him probably 7 to 10 times a year, once or twice by phone or text. Mostly it's in person. And I'm thinking, what is happening? So I said, I'll call you as soon as I land. I did. And he said to me that the Corbin Burnes thing has fallen into our lap. He's talked about how eager he is to play for the Arizona Diamondbacks for an assortment of reasons. And we want to close this gap up and try and make something happen. How do you feel? What do you know about him? And we just started to vet the whole process. And really within 36 hours, our owner had basically done that deal and made it happen. So we're very grateful for the great ownership that we have. And what it does is it takes us from a team that is, really out there grinding to a team that is strongly considered to go out and win a lot of baseball games and hopefully stand at the top of the mountain at the end of the year. My first conversation with Corbin was, hey, congrats. You're here. We're so proud of that. And he says, you ready to win a SHIT ton of games? Because I'm going to go out there and help this team go to where they want to go to. So when I heard that, I was like, let's get the season started right now.
Nice. Of course, you better. Listen.
Yeah.
You got some interesting rotation options. You obviously have a bullpen options. You have lineup options. Is there pressure on you and the Diamondbacks after the Corbin Burnes signing? Does this ramp up the pressure along with being in the Dodgers division, who's going to go undefeated and win 162 games? So how much pressure is on you and your team?
For sure. And that's what we signed up for, right? I can only control one thing, and that's to manage the Arizona Diamondbacks. And there's pressure on me every single day to respond, to react, to do the right thing, to make good baseball decisions, have the right baseball conversations. So nothing's going to change for me. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is an industry where it's full of pressure and you got to perform. If you don't perform, you get fired and you're out. So I don't worry about that. I believe in these players. I believe in the relationships that have been built. I believe in the relationships that I've built with them that's going to enable them to go out there and be the best version of themselves and perform pressure free, because the game is hard enough. So I try to eliminate that. I remember what it was like as a player. I felt like I had to go 5 for 4 every single day. Either I was going to get fired or sent down. So I try to eliminate that barrier, and I just tell them, go out and be the best version of yourself. Let's train that way. Let's talk about that, and let's see where that leads us. And it seems to have worked. But, yeah, there's pressure on this team, no doubt. We embrace what happens inside of our division. You got the Padres. You got the Dodgers. They're going to do what they do, and we love that challenge. We go out there and play the best baseball game the Arizona Diamondbacks can play.
2 parts to this question. Ken Kendrick came out and said some things about Jordan Montgomery after a disappointing year for Jordan Montgomery. What is his status going to be for you guys going forward? He's part of that 6 men that you have in the rotation. But also, how do you approach one of your players like that when an owner comes out in public and says what Ken Kendrick said, right or wrong?
Yeah, correct. That's the owner of our baseball team, and he's entitled to say anything that he wants to. And we knew that there were going to be some pieces to pick up, and understandably so. I reached out to Jordan and I just let him offload. I said, hey, I'm aware of, and I gave it some time. I let it simmer a little bit. I didn't call him the next day. I called him about a week later and just said, how you doing? Where are you at? And this is what's happening today. We're living in the present. How are we going to make this better and move the ball downfield? And he was able to offload a little bit, and he made a commitment to this group, to me, to this organization, that he was going to come into this spring training in the best shape of his life. And he looks great. I could already tell, when somebody walks in the door and they've dropped as much weight as he has, they had a really, really disciplined offseason, and they're ready to go out there and pull the trigger and make good things happen. And I'll approach it the same way I always do, with honesty. And to be honest, the situation is there's so much uncertainty. There is a ton of uncertainty with starter 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I'm gonna outline that to the guys. I don't know what's gonna happen. Your performance, the way you go out there and conduct your business, is gonna really matter from this point moving forward. And we got to make some tough decisions.
Torey, best shape of his life. I love that line. How much did spring training missing affect him? I love that. Oh, I'm in the best shape of my life. Oh, everyone's always in the best shape of their life, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are round is a shape too. Okay, let's not forget that. But
okay, this is what you're so good at. You that was a quick detail I threw in there because you have heard it, right? Oh, this guy's in the best shape of his life, and he comes in and he's falling out of his uniform. I know, I totally get it. But I saw him. I put eyes on him. No, I saw him myself.
Listen, Monty's awesome. So I can't. He's been awesome. He's pitched awesome. He's won World Series, the whole deal. But how much do you think? I want to know how much missing spring training affected him. Because he came out and said that. Remember last year when he got to you guys late, he's like, man, this missing spring training thing was a bigger deal than I thought. So now he gets a full off season, a full spring training. How much better do you think he can be? Okay,
I'm a firm believer in spring training. Maybe 6 weeks is a little long. I know there's a buildup for pitchers. I totally understand that. But it's that special time, AJ, when you form relationships, when you get to know your teammates, you establish the bonds. And for me, there's no greater relationship than a pitcher and catcher. Like they talk about the middle infielders. I was a middle infielder, and I could play with different shortstops at different points in time. It didn't really matter. But that pitcher-catcher thing is pretty special, and they got to know what each is thinking and have that nonverbal communication. And then you throw in the person. Look, I know Roger Clemens and the big unit did it totally differently. They could go off on their own and come in the next day and throw up nothing but zeros. Jordan is a get to know you type of guy. He's one of the dudes. He wants to get to know who he is and his space, and you just start to feel comfortable inside of a clubhouse. And you can't fast forward that. When you get dropped into it from outer space in the middle of a season, that's really challenging. You're missing cues with your teammates. You're missing cues with your pitching coach. How are you wanting to get coached? And that's one of the first questions I ask new players is like, how do you want me to coach you? How do you want this relationship to take place? Because I want to be versatile as possible to make sure that I get the most out of you and that you get the most out of me. So I'm establishing that right now. Actually, I started with some phone calls a couple weeks ago, but that's what I'm going to do right now. I didn't have that with Jordan, and I know how important that is to him and his personality. So this spring training is going to be a big one for him.
2020, I caught Jordan every one of his spring training starts before we shut down for COVID, and that was the best shape he had been in his life. He like dedicated himself. He was svelte, and then he went back to being the American Missile and put on a few lbs during COVID. So if he's in that shape, it's going to be good, because he was sitting 94, 97, popping some 98s. It was exciting, that spring training. But has anybody ever come up to you and been like, Skip, Torey, I'm in the worst shape of my life? Has anybody ever been honest in that sense? Because I remember Jabba Chamberlain even came out one year and was like, yeah, look at me. I got a 4-pack up here. You can see like a few abs. Everybody says that in spring training.
No, that's a good question, Eric. I've never heard somebody say like, I didn't do jack squat and I'm starting from ground zero. The return players from the spring training 2.0 after COVID, a couple said to me, I'm like, what have you done? A couple said, I didn't think we were going to play baseball. I haven't picked up a baseball the entire time. I'm like, oh God, we're in trouble here. So that's as close as I've come to somebody saying that I'm really out of shape. But once again, our eyes don't lie. You can tell when somebody's coming in and those buttons are popping through the uniform, and that's not a good sign. And once we see that, we're dedicated to like, hey man, like we see it, we know it, go out and fix it. We got to do this with you. We're going to figure out a game plan together.
All right, last one for me. You lost gold at first base. You lost a guy in Christian Walker. You replaced him with Naylor. Naylor's coming in after the season he had. How do you assimilate him into the clubhouse after losing a quiet leader in Christian, but a clear leader, veteran, been around Arizona for a while, knowing he's really only a one-year rental?
Yeah, look, at Christian Walker meant so much to this organization. He'd been here through some really good times, really dark times, and then come out the other side where we've had a lot of success over the past couple of years. So anytime you got to say goodbye to somebody like that, who, once again, probably, you talk about that nonverbal communication. I could basically raise my finger from the dugout and get his attention and give him some information. Same thing in the dugout. He'd walk by me and he'd grunt at me and I'd say something to him, and it was a done deal. So that's hard to replace, but we have a lot of very capable guys that have been here long enough to understand that. And how Josh fits in is just to go out and be himself. I know that, look, there's some all-star numbers in there. There's some all-star years in there. And this guy goes out and kills the baseball. So we don't want him to be anything different, anything other than what he's been. His prep work and what he does to lead up to these past seasons, we want it to be the same. He came to camp yesterday, got a chance to meet him for the first time. And look, I've been a big fan of his. He comes with some intensity, a lot of intensity, and a really, really good at-bat. So I think he's going to fit right into this program.
All right, Torey, last thing before we let you go. I know we talked about this earlier, pressure. I know there's pressure on y'all. Because guess what? I have the Fox Master schedule, and Arizona has games on it this year. Not only on the road where I saw you last year, but also at Chase Field. Okay, so that means that there are expectations. Because if you're not expected to be good, you don't make that schedule. So congratulations to you guys. The one ballpark I have left to do a game in is Arizona. So I'm hoping this year I get my chance to come sit with you. Maybe you can buy me dinner in your home ballpark. I'll take hot dogs, whatever you guys have there, and we can chat in your home office for once.
Let's go. I would love that. That'd be an honor for me to sit down with you, AJ. Look, you played this game a long time. There's some wisdom in there, and I will definitely love to tap into that. And look, you're right. I think when you get on different schedules, right, you get that ESPN Sunday night game, then you got to fly to the other coast at midnight, right? Like that means we've arrived. So that's the next step for the Arizona Diamondbacks we try to stay away from the word expectation. Like the new standard of being an Arizona Diamondback means you're going to have to do things like this. And how are we going to find a way to get out of it, win a baseball game today, and get on a plane tomorrow and do the exact same thing? It's the same game. It's 90 feet down the line, 6 feet 6 inches. Let's go out and do our thing and let it roll.
I picture Przinski walking in, Fox is here to Arizona.
Yeah, right. And by the way, he never asked me about what I did. He never asked me what I did before spring training.
Nothing. I know you didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
A little of these, a little bit of this.
I never did that. People don't believe me.
Not a grinder.
Yeah.
Not a grinder.
Throw, but I would never hit.
He's a natural.
These hands.
Well, Torey, this was awesome, dude. We'll actually be in Arizona too. Not me, but some of our guys. Hopefully they'll see you there. And good luck in spring training. We'll talk soon. Thanks for the time, man. Good to see you.
All right, Bronny, you too. See you, boys. Have a good one.